What's up, guys? Barry Gaming here, back with some more Idle Heroes, and today we are jumping into a July edition of who is the best first E5 to build on your account, because let's be honest, the last one we did was March. We should probably do it every 3 to 4 months because that means we have more heroes coming out to the meta. We have, of course, different changes coming to the game. It's always good to do a refresher, and sometimes the value of some heroes go way up while others plummet way down. So it is nice to jump through this list and see kind of where people fall. Let me know what you guys think about this list as well. I love hearing your feedback and having your experiences. Of course, the first benchmark we are going to talk about here is the thing that I care about most, me personally, and my experiences with the game, and I think is probably one of the best things to do, is focusing on a hero that is amazing and super easy to get Sealand 20 done. Now, there are some heroes on this list that might have better value in the later game, but again, we'll talk about that per hero as well, what they can do in the later game, early game, and such. But this list is really about how easy it is to get a very quick and fast E5, so you gotta be able to get copies of them, and of course getting Sealand 20 done, because there's a few heroes on here that don't even need anywhere near a max pet, no pay to win artifacts and anything, and they can get Sealand 20 done, while others need a ton of help, but then they're useful down the road. So we are also going to be doing our next $100 giveaway in this video. So if you're new to the channel, if you're checking it out, make sure you take 1 second, hit that subscribe button, because when we reach 60,000 subscribers, which honestly should only take a couple weeks, which is pretty cool, we will be giving away a $100 gift card of your choice to the winner. So you're going to have to leave a comment down below with a certain keyword, and that keyword is going to be E5. So E5 is going to be the keyword. Leave it in some comment down below. Make sure, though, you hit the like button on this video, too, because we want to make sure everybody sees this list and has the best start to their accounts. And, of course, hit that subscribe button. Let's jump right into it. Okay, so the order that we're going to be talking about these heroes is pretty much going to be the order that they come out in. So we're going to start with some of the oldest heroes, talk about why they still might have some relevance in the game while others not so much. Now, the other thing to remember is we don't know when the next batch of Void imprinted heroes are going to come out, so that might affect some of this a little bit. But everybody on this list already does have Void imprint, so that's something that's really important. You do not want to make an E5 hero that does not have the possibility to have Void imprint. So we are going to start out with our boy Cathuga. He's definitely dropping down to the D tier in this list. He is pretty tanky. He's pretty good. He does Sealand pretty decently. He does need some support, like a 9 or 10 star cruise to go with him. But as far as PvE goes, he can get to Aspen Dungeon, Death 50 with some like pay to win and Void imprints and stuff. He can definitely get you to Death 1 very easily. Sealand 20 he can do with, of course, with a little bit of assistance. The big thing is he's not that great in PvE or PvP, so that is something to remember. He's okay in tower. You build him tanky, he can do some stuff. It's decent. Next up on the list is going to be Horus. Now, Horus, I almost feel like needs to drop down to the C tier, but I'm going to keep him at B. Why? Because it's very easy to get hero copies of him. He's given out quite often. He's able to be acquired in Brave Trial. He's an amazing PvE damage dealer, like pure damage. He can get you to Death 1 in Aspen Dungeon. He can get Sealand 20 done with a bunch of 5-star ticks. He does not need a pay-to-win artifact, but he does really struggle when it comes to PvP. He is not good in any point in the game in PvP, unlike some of these other heroes on the list. So that is kind of why I put him in the B tier. Potentially next month he's going to drop down to C tier depending on how many more heroes end up coming out, but he is overall a decent hero to pick up, and honestly one of the crowd favorites. Now, speaking of a crowd favorite, we have Penny. So Penny is definitely going in A tier. She's borderline S tier. She does require a little bit more of Void imprinting to get her done completely solo in Sealand. I'm using one right now, testing it out as a V2+. She needs some support heroes around her if she's not V4. But overall, she's a great hero. She's one of the best PvE damage dealers in the early game, one of the best PvP damage dealers. She will get you to death 100 without pay to win artifact. Well, you might need a pay to win artifact. You might get away with Echo of Death or something like that, but you do need some void imprints on her. Like I said, PvE, she's really good. PvP early game, she just crits and wipes out the entire team. The whole point with Penny, though, is you really need crit chance when it comes to Penny, because that's her bloodline. She needs to crit, otherwise she does 0 damage. Next up is Garuda. Garuda I'm going to put in the B tier with Horus. Now, Horus, of course, gets Sealand 20 done much easier. Garuda can get it done solo at V4. Needs some support if she's lower than V4. But she's very easy to get hero copies of, mainly because of the new chapter quest system. You get 5 copies from it, you get tons of forest food. It makes it very easy, very easy to build as your first 10-star hero. Whether you want to take her past 10-star, that's up to you, but it makes the early game very easy building her as your first 10-star and then maybe transitioning to another hero and feeding her off. It's not the worst thing in the world. You are going to need a Garuda at some point on your account to get Forest Sealand done, unless you're completely whaling and you have pay-to-win artifacts out the wazoo and everything. She's really good at PvP. Probably one of the best early game PvP heroes. She's also just one of the best PvE damage dealers in the game. She can get you to death 1 in Aspen Dungeon, Sealand 20. She does suffer a little bit. She takes more to clear than a Horus, but because of all the easiness of building her, that is part of the reason why I feel like she's such a good hero. We're going to keep her in the B tier for this. Next up is Delacium. So Delacium I always struggle with because honestly, if you're building a Delacium army, you kind of only need them at 10 stars. They don't do much of anything. They can get you to death 1. They can get you to Sealand 20 as a 10-star, which is really cool. But overall, you usually don't want Delacium to be an E5. You want him to be lower than E5. But, you know, he could be classified as a B tier, maybe higher. But the problem is he doesn't really do anything else by himself. He's going to require Ithaca on your PvE lineup to do some damage. I'm going to leave him in the C tier. You really shouldn't build Delacium to E5 as your first E5. Maybe down the road if you're building an Ithaca Delacium army. But yeah, pretty much that. Next up is going to be the one we just talked about, Ithaca. So Ithaca is the best PvE boss damage dealer in the game. Pretty much hands down. Maybe Sword Flash can compete, but it's still like, nah. Just Ithaca can definitely do it. She synergizes with certain pets as well, so that you don't need to bring support heroes like a Death Sworn or something like that for a burn on the Phoenix. You can use a wolf with her, something along those lines. But she is absolutely amazing. She's really bad in PvP though. She's better than Horus, but still really bad in early game PvP. She can get you, honestly, death 50. Shouldn't be a problem in Aspen Dungeon. She probably gets you death 100 with enough imprints and artifacts. Now, the big reason why she is not an S tier on my list is because she requires quite a bit to get Sealand 20 done. Some of the heroes that we're going to be putting in the S tier, they can get Sealand 20 done without a maxed out pet. And that's the big thing, because leveling your pet nowadays is going to be longer to get full runes maxed out on the attack and HP runes. It's going to take longer to max those out than it is to build an E5. And in the meantime, you're just going to be sitting there. Ithaca's not going to be strong enough. Ithaca also typically requires a decent amount of void imprints. She also is going to require potentially a pay-to-win artifact and a whole bunch of baby ticks along with her. So similar to Horus, you need those like 5 baby ticks for the ghost damage and things like that. That's the only reason why I don't put her in the S tier, is because early game Sealand, she does struggle compared to even Penny. Penny does a better job with less support, in my opinion, than Ithaca. And of course, you got to remember, this list is all about getting Sealand 20 done. Now, it is easy to build her to E5 because you get copies in Shelter all the time. She's in Brave Trial. There's a lot of copies that you can get of Ithaca. She's not that rare. And honestly, an Ithaca is one hero on this entire list that you will use all the way to the end game in the Void Arc bosses. So that is something to remember. She's a safe bet to build if you plan on keeping it. A lot of these heroes, eventually you'll probably swap them to something else. So if you're looking to build a hero and never swap them, Ithaca would definitely be the top choice. Now, next up, we are going to go with Sherlock. Sherlock's going to D tier. Nah, he's horrible in PvE. He can get you to very high up in Aspen Dungeon. He's a decent PvP hero in the early game, but he's just not going to do anything for you in broken spaces. Even Sealand, you're going to need upgraded Punisher staff to do anything with Stellar Imprints. It's just stay away from Sherlock. I'm putting him in a D tier, but honestly, he should probably be even off this list. Next up is going to be Tix. Now, here's the one thing. Tix might not be an amazing first E5 to build, but he is probably the best second E5 to build on your account. Why? Because he clears Tower of Oblivion. He clears Aspen Dungeon to Death 100. He's pretty good in PvP. He does okay in PvE. He can even get you Shadow Sealand done. So if you don't build Ithaca first and you build one of the other factions, Tix will eventually get you Sealand 20, but you are going to need an upgraded Kiss of Ghost artifact, at least a glittery or higher. But yeah, he's going to be an amazing hero to build as your second E5. Not so much first, because it does take quite a bit for him to clear Sealand 20, and that is what is the most important about your first E5 hero, is clearing Sealand 20 as fast as possible, and that is one thing he does struggle with. Okay, first E5, best in the game second E5. I'll put a link way up in that corner up there if you guys want to see why he's the best second E5. We have a whole video just talking about him, but yeah, that's pretty much what we're talking about. Next up on this list is probably one of my favorites, is going to be Nosuke. So Nosuke is definitely going to stay up in the S tier for me. He can get Sealand 20 done with like V1 plus. He doesn't even need V2. If you do have V2, he's going to be even stronger. And he absolutely does not require pay-to-win artifacts or a pet maxed out, which is like the biggest thing. Not needing a pet fully maxed out is huge. I think we did it with barely a V2 Inosuke, and we had like the attack rune on our pet up to like 45 out of 60. We had nothing in the HP rune, nothing like that. We got it done with this Inosuke. He's absolutely amazing. He does crazy high PvE damage against guild bosses and broken spaces in the early game. Has insane survivability because of that shield he puts up. And he is really, really good in Aspen Dungeon. He can get you all the way up to Death 50 very easily. Now, after Death 50, he does fall off really hard. But getting to Death 50, very easy. He's an okay PvP hero. He's actually really, really good in Tower of Oblivion as well. You know where Horus usually beats those early mim waves? Well, solo Inosuke does too, because we did it against like 3 different waves. Yeah, we did that. We did it to like the 567, I think the 607, and I think we did the next one as well, all with just a solo Inosuke. Crazy amazing. And he does have a use in the late game. You are going to want an Inosuke for Void Vortex, getting all the way to Defire 1. Now, granted, by then you might regress him, and then you'll use 2 copies to just use a 6-star version of him. But if you add him in E5, you'll have the copies to do that. Now, technically, you can do it with an E5 Inosuke. It's just much, much harder and a different strategy. But again, it can be done. Next up is going to be Flora. So Flora, we've experienced her on the Twine Meme team. It literally took like 2 of her plus an Oberon to get Sealand 20 done. She's okay. She can get you to Death 50 in Aspen Dungeon without needing V4 or really big pay-to-win artifacts. But after Death 50, she drops off super hard. She's not amazing in PvP. She's not good in PvE. Man, the more I talk about her, the more I feel like putting her down in the D tier. But we'll keep her in the C tier. She's an okay choice, but honestly, don't go for it. Another one that falls in that same category is Mirax. So Mirax does have an easier time getting Sealand 20 done. He can do it solo. He can get you to Death 1 in Aspen Dungeon, but he's just not really good anywhere. Like, he's just that hero where it's just like, why do I have him? I don't know. I don't know why I have him. It's okay. It's decent, but it's not great. Next up, because we're just going to skip over those 2 real quick, Eloise. So Eloise is going to be up there in the S tier with Inosuke. Honestly, Eloise probably has an easier time clearing Sealand than even Inosuke. I mean, all you need is like a fearless armor on her, get her some stellar shards for void imprints, and just put some support heroes with her. And she is such a tanky healer hero. It's crazy. She can get it done with even less of a monster that I've seen personally as well than Inosuke. She's just a beast. Probably the best solo Sealand hero in the game. But of course, she does have her downsides. Now, she has very consistent and constant damage in PvE against guild bosses and not void, and broken spaces. Very decent. She does pretty decent in PvP as well. She can get you to death 1 in Aspen Dungeon. I haven't seen her get to death 50, but honestly, the way I've seen her kind of playing around in the game, she can probably get you to death 50 without much effort, and she's just really, really good. Now, the downside of her is she's kind of like a poor man's Transcendence Queen, Scarlet Halora Queen. So, can she work? Yes. Is she amazing? Not really. When she gets to V4, she can actually really dish out damage in PvP and be near unkillable, especially in the early game if you can get V4 really quick. But besides that, she is going to fall off, and you're probably going to stop using her eventually on your account. Now, next up, we have Fiona. As much as I love Fiona, we've seen her in action. She just really can't get Sealand done. She really, really struggles. Really struggles. Don't build her as the first E5. We were almost going to do it on the free-to-play, but because of a special event, we swapped our Garuda technically instead. You know, we fed off the Fiona. We were going to build the Fiona. We didn't build her. And instead, we built Russell. So Russell is going to be the last hero on this list now. Normally, under normal circumstances, never try to build a light or dark hero as your first E5. But we just had a huge event like Anniversary, where we were able to swap into light heroes and dark heroes for the same cost of regular faction heroes. And that is when Russell really shines, because Russell is, again, one of the top 3 easiest solo Sealand 20 heroes in the game. All he needs is a couple of like Holy Kids, the little 3-star heroes. You can add him to the lineup with Russell, and Russell can get Sealand 20 done very, very easy as well. Plus, he's probably one of the best PvE damage dealers on this entire list. He also has uses into the late/end game in PvP. There's just always uses for him. And of course, he can get you to solo Aspen Dungeon 50 very easily. With enough imprints and the right artifacts, he can get you to death 100. It's just going to be a little bit of struggle. But overall, that is the list for you guys right there. But remember, Russell is the one little side note. Don't consider Russell unless you have a huge event like Anniversary that lets you swap into light hero copies. So what do you guys think about the list? I think it hasn't changed too much since the last time, although we have the addition of Eloise. We're putting Russell on there. Fiona doesn't make a big enough splash. Hopefully the next couple heroes are going to be really amazing early game heroes, because at this point, I mean, end game PvP, we're just going to fill our teams up with Transcendence heroes eventually. I'd love to see more early and mid game heroes come out in the future with more diverse abilities and skills, and it's just something cool to see. More Nosuke's, more Eloise, those really powerful early game heroes to give people more choices for their first or second E5 hero. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Make sure you do hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and leave a comment with E5 in it if you want a chance to win the next $100 giveaway. I'll see you guys next time.